on a different channel. The JFR channel should be ready for next week. So then we can finally get these races onto where they should be, instead of them being on here and then being transferred over later in the week. I think we have 14 drivers today to compete for the second race of the season here in JFR. Season 3, we are here at Brazil, of course. Bear with me one moment whilst I share the stream. As you can see there are 14 drivers. Short qualifying here, followed by a 50% race. Where's the thing? Right. Bear with me just a bit. I'm trying to find... Yeah, right, there we are. We can see one of the Ferrari seems to be going out first. Oh, one of the McLarens, sorry. Everyone attempting on that soft compound of tyre. Right, I think that's the stream sorted. Right then, first out on track was the McLaren of Donolu. There he is going through the middle sector. Right then, I think we're ready to get into the session finally. So the first driver to say lap time, everyone's on the soft compound of tyre for this first lap. We may see that change as if drivers make mistakes or get blocked. They may very well try and go for a lap on the mediums to try and help out their starting position. Purple for sector 1, as you would expect from the lead driver. Comes up now into the right-hander of turn 8. Couple drivers still in the pits, just 6 of them waiting to come out. Probably waiting for the track to get a little bit clearer. Now sweeping through into the final sector of the track. Coming up the hill. 15 corners officially here, however the last 3 are flat. The last proper corner you have to think about is turn 12. Donolu comes up to the line set to 107.9. It's a very strong lap to start the session. So you can see purple for unknown in that Alpha Tauri through sector 2, so it looks to be up on Donolu's time. Comes through, absolutely hugs the inside of the track, keeps it on the track most importantly. Hugs the pit wall all the way up and doesn't cross the line quickly, backs right out of it. Pilot plane then goes top in that Williams. Clearly unknown will be looking to go onto that medium compound of tyre. So the AlphaTauri pretty much came to a stop across the line. Crossfire strikes and the Renault goes up into 3rd. Spicy Llama goes 4th. Breakfast King in that second Renault goes to 5th. Next up looks to be one of the Alfa Romeos. We only have one. No, there's a second one. Maybe that is a... I don't know where that car is then. Oh, it's Luca up the top there. Completely missed that. Goes up into P4. 108.1. Only 2 drivers in the 7s at the moment. However, they will be looking to change that as we go later on. So one of the Haas cars now coming round the final stretch. It is Luke on his out lap though, so this lap won't affect anything. No drivers currently on a flyer lap unless some of them want to go for a second. only driver to not set a time out on track is this Haas, I think. Actually, no, Hyper Revs in the sole racing point. I believe CS will be joining us some point during qualifying. Luke then goes purple in sector 1. We can see Chris has decided to opt for the medium compounded tyre. See a nice pink and black helmet there. Obviously this weekend everyone, doesn't matter if it's real life or if it's in the sim world, we're all racing for Antoine Hubert, who sadly lost his life a year ago, sorry, during an incident in the F2 sprint feature race at Spa. I think most, if not all, drivers have got a pink or black helmet, or they've combined both of them. As he just avoids the pit wall there, goes up into P6. Further down we can see Hyper Revs coming through the middle sector. Has an Alpha Tauri just up the road. I believe that is Flaky. Shouldn't get in the way too much. They are on a push lap as well. Or they could very well be on an in lap. The AlphaTauri has done 2 laps on those tyres already. So we can see Aboud in the Ferrari also going onto the medium tyres. Actually no, if I had to say it's Gio in the other Racing Point car. Hyperevs then goes top, 7 tenths clear of the rest of the field. Very strong lap from the Racing Point car. Further down we can see that Flicky did decide to stay out. And the Alpha Tauri just trying to, probably overloaded that car quite a bit with fuel. Just pushing around. Luke coming there, coming through the final sector. I believe this is an in lap. Doesn't open the DRS and does pull into the pit lane. Our lap for Breakfast King, we're looking to improve on currently, I would say, the slowest time. Once we saw Unknown stop right before crossing the line. Expecting him to come out on the medium tyres at some point in the session. We have a Renault off in the first sector. I would assume as we're watching Breakfast King that is Crossfire. Just getting out of the way of a couple of cars. I think that is Gio. And Chris. As Chris then repays the favour, gets out of the way. Crossfire also just stops, lets the car past. Very good sportsmanship from these drivers. As I think Chris may have blocked his teammate then, so that's unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo duo. Once again, Crossfire getting right out of the way of everyone. You can see Dono's come back out for a lap, as actually coming up to the line as we speak. Goes across, doesn't improve, I don't believe. And look to have backed off massively, so that is his lap. We see a Williams stranded there, that is pilot plane. Don't know if he spun or if that is once again just getting out of the way, as we did see 2 drivers fly past him. Stig goes up into 9th for the 108.3. Strong lap there. Further down, 2 cars on the mediums. I do believe Chris is on that lap now. Aboud's still in the pit lane. We can see looks like he had a couple of connection issues earlier on. Seems to have sorted them out at this point, just running round. On that soft tyre on their out lap. Ready to get a good launch out of here. This is turn 12 here. The last proper corner of this circuit in Sao Paulo. As Chris has ended up leaving the session there. Haas then, I believe this is the second Haas of the 2. Luke Flano you can see up in P8. His teammate Tet Arps running through the first sector now for their first run of the session. Goes purple in sector 1, similar to his teammate. But sector 2 is where you can find the most lap time here. This corner especially, just confidence for a double right of 6 and 7, which you may count as triple right if you include the much slower corner of turn 8. See the number 19 there on his car. Runs through, finishes. The second sector also goes purple, so he has kept up that pace we saw at the start of lap. Looks like, again, another good exit out of 12. 107.1 is the time to beat, currently set by VTR Hyperrevs. Stig retires from, Breakfast King retires from the session. Talbot goes up into P3. The Renault then looks to have hit the wall somewhere down this back straight. We'll go on board with the Haas. Just have a look where that Renault is, and he's despawned before we've gotten there. I'm not sure what the reason for that retirement was, but it did happen. You can see Gio's just started their lap. So they run now down through the Senna S. Runs down this back straight. The McLaren just behind, just the one McLaren of Dono Lu here at the moment. I don't believe he has a teammate joining. Once again, Gio going purple in that first sector. Claims to be strong around this circuit, so we'll see what they can do at the end of the lap. And at number 18, bright pink Racing Point. Comes up to the slowest corner on the track. Turn 10, I think. Runs through the sweeping left of 11. Through 12 and again gets strong exit. Could use a little bit more of the curb on the outside, but if they don't feel confident using it, then they won't. They might be quicker. Their drivers would have been practicing these lines more than likely. Gio comes up to the line and goes P12. So it's a 108.8. Dono just behind him starts his second run of the session. So one of the Williams comes up to the line as well. I believe that was Pilot Plane, and it was just once again another sole car. Seeing how much Gear 8 can do around there. Unknown still on that soft tyre. Hasn't come out yet for what I believe will be the mediums when they eventually decide to come out. So I believe Chris did get back into the session. Once again opting for that medium compounded tyre. Aboud, I believe still leading the championship with Ferrari. Is running solo this week, does not have a teammate to help that constructors bid. So they come once again then through this middle sector. One of the Alfa Romeos getting out the way through turn 14. As Donalou has retired from the session. Was on a push lap, but we'll go with Pilot Plane so we can actually see that McLaren. Trying to find out what happened. He is stranded there. Looks like potential contact as he is missing a wheel. Donalou there involved in an incident in qualifying. Looked like contact with another car, probably just squeezed him. So we did see an Alfa Romeo going slowly. There was also a Racing Point involved there somewhere. So we see Creston, the only driver attempting the mediums at the moment, running through this middle sector. Gets the car hooked up nicely through turn 8. Keeps it nice and flat through 11. Flicked it into the left of 12. Accelerates up the hill. Very important corner down just before you start ascending. Opens the DRS, cuts across the pit lane line. That is allowed, I believe. Crash across the line. Does go slowest at the moment. But on those medium tyres you would probably expect that. Aboud in that Ferrari as well. Just looks like may not be a strong track for them, or just didn't quite get the lap together. So our championship leader, they definitely have pace. But again, they may have did what Unknown did. and just back out of the lap so they can settle up on the mediums to start the race on. We see the Mercedes of Stig just going across the line. Don't believe there was an improvement there as they seem to be going very slow. There's a Red Bull Hover right behind them. That will be Spicy Llama. Going through the first section of corners, the Mercedes gets out of the way nicely. There's a lap for the Red Bull, currently sitting in P6. Doesn't improve in Sector 1, possibly distracted by the Mercedes. But also it doesn't have the battery turned up, so that would also explain the 7/10 off Sector 1. Chris, however, did go for a second lap, managed to find some time. Got up into P13. Dono's left the session. One of two drivers to retire. Currently sitting P5, they may return to start the race. As Crossfire comes across the line, Gio's left, but despite his Sector 3 being purple, Crossfire only goes up into P4. And uses the very unorthodox line coming through the centre S. Then retires from the session, that's the best they can do, also the most they have time for. You can see one of the Williams cars there coming. Oh, that's a Mercedes, that's probably Stig still. Just crawling on the back, we have an Alfa Romeo just behind them of Chris, seems to be pushing again. 3 consecutive laps, got a little bit of a slipstream there. Comes across the line, gets up to P12, another improvement from Chris. Just behind them we have an Alpha Tauri. And the Haas, don't believe any improved, probably just starting their laps. As you can see, I believe that would have been these two here, and yes it is. Flaky Gaming and Luke, they're just starting their laps. Just over 1 minute to go for this qualifying session here in Brazil. The second Haas of Tet Arps also on a lap. Currently sitting in P3. However, it is 2 seconds off in the first sector. Quite possibly just an end lap there. You can see the fuel is flashing red. Hyperrev is also looking to improve. They came out at the start of the session, went on provisional pole, and now they've come out right at the end. Down to the break, goes purple in Sector 1 to find more time. Runs wide at 4, but I believe corner cutting is on reduced or regular. So in defect, then one of the Alfa Romeos looks like to be getting in the way across the line. That would have been Chris, as he's the only one that's still out there. Hyperrev does lose it a little bit and flies off into the wall. That'll be it for their chances here in qualifying, but they are still on provisional pole. No one has managed to match their times as it stands. Both Unknown and Luke held their positions, still sitting. Actually, no, that's a brand new lap from Unknown, getting up into P6, was sitting down the back of the field. As Flaky has dropped, so that must have been an improvement from Luke. As Dono has actually dropped to 8th, so that's such a couple cars that I've missed there. Do apologise for that. Racing Point retires from the session after that mistake on their lap. Bit of grass cutting from Luke there. 97 Haas. Just kind of doing their own thing. Flaky then comes up to the line. Doesn't improve position, but does improve on their time. They gain just a 10th. Believe that is all our cars to cross the line. We do have an Alpha Tauri, however. We'll stay out. This will not be an improvement of a lap time. Take the checkered flag. And that is it for running here in qualifying. Unless any of the drivers are going to try a sneaky little trick. It doesn't look like that is going to happen. So that will be it for qualifying. Hyperrevs there, putting his lap time on pole. You've seen Gio has left. He will not be coming back. Seems he's left the league. There is our qualifying positions then. A boot on the medium tyres going on P4, clearly showing that championship pace. Leading the championship, I do believe, still. Ferrari are also still leading the constructors. Very good pace from the Lebanese driver, I do believe. That is the flag off. Medium tyres there, going just under half a second off the pole time of Hyperrevs. See Chris down in P14 also tried the medium compound of tyre. Everyone else will be on the softs. I do believe it is custom weather, so we could be seeing absolutely anything happening. Yeah, looks like it will be dry for the start. However, rain could come at any given moment. Waiting for our drivers to load in, get their strategy sorted, get their fuel all sorted out. One stop is possible here. We may see some safety cars, as that middle sector can be tricky. We even saw from qualifying, see Dono got disconnected. That's the reason for the McLaren driver leaving after their retirement. As the formation lap does get underway here in Brazil, JFR is the league, so we're here for round 2 of season 3 here at Brazil. Hyperrevs has put it on pole by, I think, 3 tenths in the end, can't entirely remember. Pilot plane in that Williams put it up in second, joining the racing point on the front row. Third place is the lead Haas driver of Ter Arps, ahead of the Ferrari of Aboud, who did do their time on the medium compound tyre. They are the only driver in the top 10 to start on that tyre. Looking further down, we can see Luca in that lead Alfa Romeo, who in 5th, joined by Crossfire Strikes in the Renault on the 3rd row. Behind them is Unknown, who I thought would have tried the soft tyres, but in the end decided to go for the soft tyre. Luke Flano joins him on the 4th row in that Haas, ahead of Dono Lu, who has just joined the session back after that disconnection after their DNF in qualifying. Behind them we have the sole Red Bull of Spicy Llama, ahead of Flaky Gaming 123 in the Alpha Tauri. BLK Stig then in P12 in the lone Mercedes, ahead of Breakfast King, who also had that retirement during qualifying. Down at the back of the grid we have it's Chris 05, who also tried to qualify on the mediums, didn't quite go as well as a boot. And then we have Gio down at the back. I believe this will be his AI car for the whole race, as Chris has left the session there. Clearly a disconnect right before the race starts. This is the worst time you could be kicked out, but I don't believe we'll be seeing Gio coming back as he left the league. There were reports, from what I can infer in the chat, he's the reason Dono retired, but I don't know for sure. I saw something about him taking someone out. It might have been the Renault of Breakfast King that affected, or Crossfire, whichever one got taken out. It's one of the yellow cars. Drivers then getting sorted on the grid, ready for 36 laps here in Brazil. The lights will be coming on then. And it's lights out and away we go here in Brazil. Looks like a good start from 2nd place there. Looks like Pilot Plane has got the jump, and he has the Haas as well of Ter Arps getting a jump on our pole sitter of Hyperrevs. but not quite holding it in turn 1. Pilot plane leads the Ferrari of Aboud, looks to have got dropped a little bit. At the start, holds on to P4 or 5. The timing screen is a little off at the moment, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on. See both the Renaults at the back there, not a good start for Crossfire, started also up in the top 5. To come through them, Pilot plane from second leads Hyper Arps ahead of Tet Arps. Oh sorry, Hyper Revs ahead of Tet Arps. God, I'm not on the ball today at all, am I? Unknown up into P4, gained a couple of positions. Aboud has dropped 1 ahead of Luke, who also I believe has gained some positions. Luca dropped back, I believe started P4. Has dropped back. Dono there just gained a position. I believe he has joined the session and he is racing, so that won't affect them too much. Spicy Llama I believe is held position. Go back to our battle at the front. We can see on position changes. Dono, Spicy and Stigl gaining positions at the start. Crossfire has dropped 6. Chris has managed to get back, so that'll be good for him. Fastest lap for the leader as you would expect at the end of lap 1. DRS is not enabled yet as this is lap 2. Just wait for the timing to sort that out. I did see a little flicker of rain at the formation lap, and I do believe it has just started to rain. If we go on board with our pole, or not pole, but our current leader, we can see the rain. We're looking back from Unknown now on P4. We can see Aboud just behind him is on the harder tyres, but also with this rain falling, that may have been a mistake in qualifying. They don't quite have the pace of the rest of them. However, if they managed to qualify from P4 on that medium tyre, I don't see a reason they can't keep up with these guys at this stage in the race. Both Renaults, however, are down at the back. Not a good start from Crossfire. Did start P6. Not sure what happened to him there. See, Luca's dropped 3 positions. As we can see, Luca and Dono driving through each other there. Dono's AI seems to still be in control. He hasn't managed to retake that car yet. See Unknown just weaving ahead, probably trying to get some pressure or some temperature into these tyres. We see quite a close battle here for P4. The podium trio seems to be pulling away at this point, and then P4 back to P8. 5 cars there, all line stun. Dono and Luke pushing, which I don't think Dono has retaken control of that car yet. So it is the ghosted McLaren there, sitting in P6. AI looks to be turned up quite high here because that Renault has made 2 positions since I've noticed them. Unless that is Dono in the car and he's just ghosting. Not sure what's happened there. He has to get up another position, so either the AI is quite high here, or that is Dono in the car and he just hasn't unghosted. And up front, the battle for the lead, 1 second. Battle for second and third is also a second. However, third has dropped. Actually, no, fourth has caught up to third. So you're around to what I thought. You can see Unknown has gapped Dono just a little bit. Obviously, Dono fighting very hard with Aboud and Luke, and also Luca. All going side by side. You can see the Haas and the Alfa Romeo running side by side through turn 5 as they run up towards the fast right of 6. I'm sweeping through, just avoid contact there. All seems to be going nice and clean, which is what we like to see. Rain will start to get heavier as the race progresses. She looks like Crossfire, after a pretty poor start from the Renault driver, has making those positions back. Qualified in P6, so definitely has pace. Yellow flags in Sector 2. Looks like Chris has made a mistake or something, but they are quickly removed. Not too much of an issue there for the Alfa Romeo. See, this group then are just starting to spread out a little bit. You see Breakfast King in that second Renault coming into the pit lane. Will we see intermediate tyres already from the Renault driver? Or did they just run into some trouble? We do see the green wall tyre for Breakfast King. It's the first car to come into the pit lane. Chris, they're clearly having some network issues in this race. The Polish driver not quite managing to keep his internet connection that stable. We see a spinner for a Haas driver. That's like Luke dropping all the way down the field. Had to wait until the whole train passed before they could rejoin the track, and has in fact dropped down to 12th position. They were running up in P8, I believe, but that however has come down. We can see Dono Lu then. The car's still ghosting, so I'm not sure what exactly has happened there. Yellow flag is set to free. The Mercedes of Stick has now spun. However, no one else boxes yet. And also the Renault of Breakfast King has spun in the middle sector. I think I should notice if to gone away with that. For some reason yellow flags keep appearing at turn 8 or turn 7. Not entirely sure why. However, I do believe that Renault that came in for the Inters has pitted too early. To continue on, lap 6, we are at the end of this, will be a 6th of the way through the race. Breakfast King does seem to be losing more and more time to the guys ahead of him. He comes into turn 1 now. Don't believe it is wet enough yet. Donaloo's moved up into P4. Starting to think now more and more that that is him in the car. And the car just has remained ghosted. If you ride on board of him, we can see he is ghosting. That is an unfair advantage if that is him in the car. So they had that issue in qualifying, which then turned into them leaving the session. I believe there was a disconnect. If we look back at the McLaren driver from the Haas of Ter Arps, qualified up in P3, has held that position, very nearly took P2 off Hyperebs at the start but didn't quite manage it. Again, still just the one car on the main inter tyres. They have lost 4 seconds over the last lap. I have a feeling Breakfast King may have broken his front wing and therefore decided to box. Instead of pitting twice, they've gone straight for those inter tyres. But for now, Ter Arps just managing to hold off the McLaren as there is a spinner again in the middle sector. As I can see, it's a Haas. I'm going to guess that is Luke as we're riding on board with the other one. Not quite finding a good traction point through turn 8. And as the conditions get wetter and wetter, it's going to be even harder just to get the throttle down. Whether you're on a controller or a wheel, it's going to be equally as difficult. See this battle, I can just see on the map, looks like Luca and Crossfire are running together. We're riding, but we'll look forwards from this time. So you see Crossfire after the starting P6 drop down to 12th, running with their teammate. As Stig also pits now. Also goes for the intercompound of tyre. Maybe it is wet enough now. Drivers seem to be struggling that little bit more. I will wait to see if our leader comes into the pits. However, Breakfast King has lost a lot of time during that. Speeding into pit lane for our race leader, he has decided to come into the pits. Hyperevs resumes the lead of the race after only having it for a couple of meters at the start. You can see even a boot on those medium tyres has come into the pit lane. Into tyres go on to what was our race leader. Spicy Llama and Flaky Gaming also picking up a penalty as they enter the pit lane. Clearly just being caught out by the conditions as they get wetter and wetter. We can see the battle for second. Dono still trying to get past the Haas. It's covered to turn 6. I have a feeling this might all be turn 6. Chris has joined back into the session. Luke has been given a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As now even the AI drivers towards the back of the grid, Chris and Gio. I believe Chris has managed to get back. He wouldn't have been in control of his car then, I don't believe. See, Hyperrev's clearly not finding as much confidence in the wet as these two behind him. Did have I think about 2-second gap was the biggest I saw. Just these top 5 now yet to pit. Crossfire up in P5. Obviously gained 1 position from where they started. 3 drivers still currently in the pits as our leading trio do now come into the pits. I'd imagine Unknown and Crossfire behind us. Hyperrev gets a penalty into the pit lane. You can see Crossfire being very conservative, dropping down to under 40 miles an hour as Yanni joins the session. See these two absolutely in sync. We go on board with who is the leader. I believe actually no, the leaders have already gone through. Pilot plane then with a very big lead. Donolu has jumped up into P2. In that McLaren. Hyperrevs will hold P3 then. Did pick up that penalty. Talp looks to have been held up a lot, or this had a penalty to serve already. Behind them is a Bood and that Ferrari, still in P5, didn't gain much. However, behind them we do have Crossfire and Unknown going absolutely side by side into turn 4. Very big gap from our leader at the moment. Also fairly large gap as Crossfire tries again into turn 7. The Renault clearly the quicker drive as it stands, and you can see him getting a little bit of better traction there, and there is contact. Unknown does send Crossfire there off into the wall as the other Renault of Breakfast King has gone off into turn 1. Still in the race, we'll try and get over to see what's happened there. He's used to reset the track. Looks like he's just trying to end his race. He's had enough of it today. That'll be it for the Renault. As his teammate Crossfire still trying to recover from that spin. That was definitely aided by Unknown. Both Renaults then not having the best of time. As there is a battle down towards turn 1, I just briefly caught on the map. Breakfast King then leaves the session. Not sure what happened, may have just gone deep, but obviously he did lose a lot of time. Pitting very early for those intermediate tyres. But as this battle here, we can see Dono and Hyper battling out for P2. Behind them we have Tetarps, Abood and Unknown. All battling for P4. Crossfire was a part of that. As the driver now comes into the pits. Mainly through this race we've seen Dono using that fact that he is a ghost to gain positions. Now we saw Hyper Revs using that to their advantage. You haven't got to go around them. However, from the off-board shot it does look very weird. As the final 2 podium sitters come out of turn 12 and then ascend up the hill. You can lose a lot of grip up here. Coming back to 2016, the real life race here. Absolute carnage with the drivers, a lot of them making mistakes. In a race that should have been red flagged multiple times. Behind them we have a battle for P4. Unknown looks to have dropped back a little bit there, but we'll catch up. See Tarps just cutting the corner then, and Flaky Gaming has retired from the session. We have a safety car here in Brazil. So it looks like Crossfire, and about a safety car leaving the pits. I did think that was the Renault. Looks like the driver may have lost it, coming through 15, tried to catch it. Don't believe he was aided there. We do see the Red Bull near them, so there could well have been contact between Spicy Llama and his Red Bull family counterpart. The Haas then comes into the pit lane. That is Luke Flano. Stig and Chris do continue. I believe Chris is back in control of that car. We'll have a look. There he is, not a ghost anymore. So the Alfa Romeo driver is back in control, looking to score some good constructor points with his teammate up in P7. So this will massively help Crossfire's race after that contact with Unknown, fighting for what was the battle for P4. However, they were running 6th and 7th. Crossfire there just about not getting out ahead of Luke. Did try it, he did speed up quite a bit. Actually, you have till the end of the pit entrance to get into the pits, as the safety car has picked up our leader. So that gap he had, almost, I think it was about 10 seconds, will now start to come down and down all the way to just a couple tenths as they're under safety car. I don't know if it's going to dry up towards the end of the race or if it will continue to get wetter. So those back three, obviously Gio's not in the session, I don't believe he's in the league anymore. Luke and Crossfire very lucky to not get lapped. So the whole field now will try and catch up to the safety car here on lap 13 of 36 with just over a third of the way into the race. Pilot Plane leads from hyper-revs after jumping him off the line. Donalou up in P3 after starting down in P8. Good run from the McLaren driver so far in the race. Tarps after starting third has unfortunately lost a position. Didn't quite have the pace once it started raining. That's expected, not all drivers are that comfortable in the rain. Just look further down the field, Aboud after starting on the medium tyres, maybe regretting that decision in qualifying at the moment. If he started on the softs, he would have definitely qualified higher, and also would have had a higher chance of overtaking a couple cars if needed at the start of the race. Unknown in P6, I'd imagine the incident between him and Crossfire will go to the stewards after the race. May have just been a racing incident, but there was contact, causing Crossfire to go from 7th down to the back of the grid, which is currently P13. Behind Unknown we have Luca in the lead Alfa Romeo. Started in the top 5 I do believe, so he's lost a couple of positions as it stands in the race. However, he leads Spicy Llama, who has had a decent start to the race. Once again the lone Red Bull, so he is their team's chances of the constructors will be going a little bit down, as we do have quite a few dual constructors in the race. Behind them we have a lone Mercedes of BLK Stig. I believe they started out of the top 10, so once again they've had a good start there. Behind him we have the second Alfa Romeo of Chris, who started down in P14 I believe. Actually, I'll have a look. Instead of guessing these positions, let's just have a look. Chris has gained 4 positions, so did start down in 14th. Tried it on the mediums, didn't quite work out. And then behind them is a car that will be a ghost for the rest of the league, even though they actually they won't be here for next race as they left the league. Luke and Crossfire then at the back of the grid. Crossfire not having a very good day at all in that Renault. Had decent qualifying, starting on P6. Start wasn't the best. I'm not sure what happened to his start. I'm not sure if it was his own doing or if he just got forced off the track somewhere. Very easy to get forced out here. Obviously a very tight first couple of corners, and it then opens up for turn 3. It's not the best of races for Luke so far either. Starting up in P8, has dropped to 12th as it stands, but we have seen a couple spins from him in the middle sector. So on the topic of those drivers, they are going to be quite frustrated that they are stuck behind an AI car. The AI level clearly not that high, as the Racing Point just not catching up to the guys ahead, but they cannot overtake as we're under safety car. I do believe we'll be seeing that silver Mercedes-Benz AMG coming into the pit to the end of this lap. Came out on lap 13 I think, or it was deployed on lap 12, drivers caught up on 13. I don't think we'll be under the safety car for much longer. Just a couple of corners now before we see if it will be in this lap. However, those two cars stuck behind that AI are not going to be very happy at all, as they're not able to catch up to the back of the grid, and the safety car will be coming in this lap. There is in fact two drivers that will not catch up to the back of the field. Those of you that are eagle-eyed will be able to see that they are trying to overtake the racing point, but they're not able to. We'll look back from our current lead as we wait, and initially he bolts as I go on board with them. Using that overtake to their full advantage coming up into the first corner. Looks like it's going to stay equal, so I do see a battle with a Ferrari further back. All seems to stay as it is. You can see both AIs as the Ferrari then absolutely cuts turn 2, pushes the AlphaTauri off the track a little bit. One of the Haas cars goes off in the background, I believe that was. Actually, no, it wasn't Haas, it was an Alfa Romeo. Luca dropping down from 7th to P10. Crossfire retires from the session, so very unfortunate. Looks like they pulled into the pit lane to retire, so they're fed up with what happened to them there. Which is fair enough, they had a decent qualifying, and as I've said many times already, didn't have the best of races and also got stuck behind that AI car under the safety car, so they're going to be very frustrated with that. Luke seems to have continued though. We're already catching up to Luca after that error coming out of turn 2. Very easy to make a mistake in the wet, especially of the undulation of this Brazilian circuit. So not looking like too many battles. We have a queue pretty much from first to what looks like P7. And then a little bit of a gap back to Chris in the Alfa Romeo. Now up 6 positions though for the Alfa Romeo. So as I say, that spicy llama does drop back a little bit, clearly not as confident on the power. 1.5 seconds already separates our leaders as it stands. Everyone has been in for 1 pit stop apart from Luke, who has made 2. Crossfire made 3, but that final one was him retiring. So drivers come down this back straight to start sector 2. Here on lap 17 of 36 in Brazil, very nearly halfway now, as the conditions get wetter. Again, I'm not sure, when you're spectating these races you do not get to see the weather. As there is a change of position for P2, obviously that ghosted McLaren. Seeing the pace of the racing point, that is Dono in that car. If you compare the AI speed, this is not an AI in the McLaren, it is his full pace. Both drivers clearly using the fact the McLaren is ghosted to take full advantage. As Dono spins and hits the wall, look, there couldn't have been contact, because that McLaren is just driving, you're able to drive through it, it's essentially invisible. It's almost a rough guide, that bright orange McLaren. But has dropped a little bit of time. Looks to go a little bit wide through 3 as well, as the Haas of Alps looks to capitalise on the position. Looks to go towards the inside into turn 4. Seems to be, but Donny, they're just recovering. Don't believe they broke their front wing. There was contact with the wall. Clearly it's getting very slippery through those kinks on your run to the start finish line. 2.6 seconds separates pilot plane from hyperwares as it currently stands. First from second, that gap will be extending as it did before the safety car came out. Luke has caught up to the back of Luca. Down at the back of the field, the last point is up for grabs between those two cars. Anything else where this battle was definitely the closest. Obviously this gap can be as small as you want. Did briefly catch it at 33 thousandths, but has seemed to have increased since that. to go on board with the Haas of Alps behind him. Unknown would also have DRS if we are in the dry. But as the rain looks to be getting heavier and heavier as we progress through this race, over halfway now. To come through the middle sector at lap 19 of 36, 17 to go after this one. See, as it stands, one driver will not be getting points. And Luke does seem to be faster than Luca as it currently stands. Well, looks like Stig and Chris are going at it as well, very close through turn 11. He's actually been jumped all the way back there. We'll go on board with Chris, look backwards towards the Mercedes just behind them. We can run in towards into turn 1. Stig will go up the inside, then very good move from the Mercedes, just had the run on Chris, demoting him to P9. Just behind them then is the battle for the final point. Lucas still holding off Luke. As these two get closer and closer, Chris may drop back a little bit here. Stig seems to have had the pace over him. Let's go for the battle for the podium is heating up once again. After Hyperevs look like to seal that move. A couple of laps to go, just not quite being able to pull away. Second back to fifth then, all fairly close on the track. Pilot plane, however, in that lead, Williams is just checking out at this stage. Clearly very confident in the wet. Four then, looks like it's going to change. Unknown sending up the inside into turn 1 on the Haas car. Tarps does cut turn 2 a little bit, looks to have lost the position. The AlphaTauri loses the back end on the exit of turn 2. Chris comes into the pit lane, so he may have broken his front wing. Or has decided it's just time for full wet. We'll have a look, see if they change their tyres. Gone to a brand new set of inters, so not full wet conditions just yet. We might see them before the end of the race, however. As the battle between Luke and Luca, finally something happens. Luke getting up the inside into turn 4. Looks to have held it on the exit. They'll come into turn 6 now. So Luke got held up behind that AI car, along with Crossfire. Crossfire wasn't happy with it, which is fair enough, to be honest. However, Luke has cracked on here, got himself up into P9. Some solid points there then for the Haas team. Currently running 5th and 9th. They'll be taking 12 points away. Just have a look at the fastest lap. I don't see that changing if the conditions do seem to get wetter. So pilot plane will pick up that extra point. We come into turn 1 once again. Gap at the front now, 4.2 seconds. Pilot plane leading Hyperevs. Donnelly seems to have dropped back a little bit from those top two. And now trying to show us it's impossible to defend as his car is still ghosting. However, Unknown is looking to reclaim that podium position. Actually, I don't believe he's had it yet. So we'll be looking to snatch it from the McLaren driver. Looks a little bit quicker in these wet conditions. Tarps not quite being able to hold the pace of these guys. Similar to Aboud behind, who has dropped 3 seconds back in that Ferrari. Who is coming under increasing pressure from Spicy Llama and the Red Bull. who actually decides to come into the pits, Red Bull into the pits then. So again, I don't know what tyre they'll be going for. I'd imagine a brand new set of Inters, clearly not thinking they'll last much longer. They drop down to 9th, will probably lose a couple of positions. Once again, goes on to a new set of intermediates. Yellow flanks, one of the Alfa Romeos have spun at the back. I think that is Chris. Currently the one driver not to get points in this Brazilian Grand Prix. Dono and Unknown still fighting out for that final podium, as Unknown uses the fact Dono is ghosted just to try and hold on there. To come through this twisty middle sector. Now we're down through turn 11. Both drivers a little bit wide. Position seems to be secured then for the AlphaTauri of Unknown Icon. See Dono, after showing initial pace in the changeable conditions, not quite showing it here. 2.2 seconds back to Tarbs in the lead Haas car. As you see, Gio's AI just getting lapped there by our lead group of cars in the top 4. So you see a little lock up there coming into turn 4 from the AlphaTauri. Battles on the track do seem to be breaking up a little bit as drivers come into the pits. We see a Bood pitting there, probably just to cover off Spicy Llama. However, I do believe it is still intermediate conditions in this race. Not quite time for the blue wall tyres. We watch what is still the only gap worth watching in this race between Unknown Icon and Dono Lu. Battle for the final step on the podium. So leader crosses the line to start lap 25 of 36 here in Brazil. The Unknown Icon really trying to put the pressure onto the VTR Hyper Revs in front of him. Locks up the front left into turn 1. Very easy to do, but got the car slowed down anyway, so it won't affect them too much. Both drivers then running off the track coming through turn 3. Carrying a little bit too much speed through the first corner. And then down onto the brakes into turn 4. Doesn't lock up this time. And they will run through the middle sector. Let's have a look at the back of this quick little train. Actually, I think it has Dono at the back of it. Had a couple issues in qualifying, so only managed P8. They were on a lap when they DNF'd. I believe they were taken out, but I would need to see the footage to make an accurate guess on what happened. Unknown definitely having the pace here as he catches Hyper Revs for that second position in this race. Running up then into the first corner. 11 laps to go here in Brazil. Gap at the front now 7 seconds. Tarps in that Haas in P5 comes into the pit lane as it seems to have stopped raining. We may well get a dry shootout right at the end of this race. Let's have a look to see what tyres they've gone on to. They've gone on to slick tyres. Tarps, who was P5 in this race, is pitted for slick tyres here on lap 26. So the end of lap 25. Very brave decision at this point in the race. The track still looks very damp. Will our leader come in at the end of this lap then? It's the only car to pit. It looks to be alright for grip wise. There's almost a dry line forming, but you can still see spray coming off that Ferrari up the road from them, who did very recently just pit for another set of inters. Our championship leader in that Ferrari may very well have cost himself a lot of time here. Just pitting 1 or 2 laps early. Hyperevs from P2 comes into the pits but picks up his second 5-second time penalty of the race. Donolu also comes into the pits. Unknown Icon continues. As we can see here, the Haas of Tarbs is struggling a little bit. Both drivers up ahead, however, as he does get actually overtaken by the Red Bull. Spicy Llama then capitalising. Didn't see him coming, he just popped up the inside of turn 12. And we can see Donolu and Hyperevs both pitting for the soft compound of tyre. They will have more grip in these very changeable conditions. But we can see the driver just sliding around the first couple of corners. Clearly struggling just that little bit. Dono has got ahead of Hyperevs as well. The racing point would have served the penalty they picked up in the first pit stop. So they would have lost an extra 5 seconds there. They will have an extra 5 seconds added on to their race time before speeding into the pit lane. But now has work to do as our race leader. 8 seconds is the gap. Comes into the pits. Unknown Icon does follow him in. So actually we will go with Dono as he is the lead car on the slick tyres. Coming up into turn 12, catching the 2 ahead of him very quickly, Aboud and Luca. That Ferrari will absolutely be annoyed with themselves for pitting just, well, looks a couple laps earlier. The slick tyres do seem to be going fine as Luke retires from the session. Running up on P8 there, I'm not too sure why they pitted. Our leader maintains the gap then. Unknown Icon gets P2. Donolu then up to P3. Hyperev loses 2 positions during that pit window, dropping from P2 down to P4. Stig has gained massively as we have a virtual safety car out on the track. So Aboud there, dropped down to P8, not too bad then for the Ferrari driver. However, Tetops, I should know that Stig, I wanted to comment on. He benefited quite well from that pit window. Gained a couple of positions. Not too bad for the lone Mercedes, currently getting 8 points for his championship challenge. You can see the number 19 Haas of Tetops as they pretty much go side by side through this middle sector. 2 drivers then opting for the mediums. Clearly they just prefer those tyres, as not long left to run. Spicy Llama picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car as we go green. Our leader has just started lap 29 of 36 here in Brazil. As then there's contact between the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo, I want to say. You can see that Luca and Stig, they're coming together through turn 13. Went side by side for most of the virtual safety car. Spicy Llama did lose his front wing. I did see a bit of wing come flying off. It's then when I noticed the incident on track. Look further up, the gap has come down quite a bit at the top. Clearly Unknown Icon has more pace in this dry, as Hyper has picked up a penalty for corner cutting and he's retired from the race. Our pole sitter has gone off at turn 7 and we have a virtual safety car here on lap 29. It's all kicking off in the latter parts of this race. Our pole sitter then VTR Hyperevs, running in a podium position for most of the race. As we try and find the battle on track, it looks like there might be one. I should ask the lap car of Geo. No battles on the track as it stands from what I can see. So our pole sitter Hyperevs is out of the race. Track goes green. Drive-through penalty for the Mercedes. Just after I was saying how good their strategy was with the with coming back onto the dry tyres for the end of the race. Just picked up a drive-through penalty. They'll have to serve that in 3 laps, I believe it is. No battle still on the track. Our leader still has a 4.5 second gap. However, it's now over unknown icon. It was hyper-ebs for so long of the race. The pole sitter just doing what they can. Survive the wet conditions, and now when we've gone dry, picking up a second 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pits. And I may have seen a drive-through penalty for the Racing Point just before they retired, so they might have done that on purpose. However, I didn't catch it, so I'm unable to comment. Five and a half laps then left here in Brazil for JFR. Chris once again from the session as Aboud shows his championship challenge once again. Fast lap of the race, a 109.6, not far off pole. Pole was, I think, a mid 107. Spicy Llama then beats him, doing a 109.1 in that Red Bull. Grab at the front is stabilised, also back to P3, once again 4 seconds, 15 seconds, then back to Alps in P4, who has Aboud closing down on him in that Ferrari. We're looking to improve a little more in this race. Luca and Stig going nicely at this point in the race. That lap racing point of Geo just in the way, but it is also ghosted as of a new feature for this year's game, or last year. I'm not entirely sure when they brought in the feature, but very helpful for lobbies online. Another little look back then from Luca. You can see Stig actually coming into the pits to serve that drive-through penalty. Whether or not they sped into the pits or not. Oh, it's not as virtual safety car, isn't it? Their penalty. Whether that happened or not, it's hard to tell. There is a slight issue with this game where it will give you a drive-through penalty even if you not quite speed, because your delta can suddenly drop off very quickly. So watch the lone Ferrari of Aboud, currently leading both championships. Surrounding turn 12, we'll start the ascent up towards the start-finish line. This track is very much like a roller coaster. 15 corners, goes up, down, left and right. Scalper not quite closing down as quickly as I thought it would. Obviously Aboud on the soft tyres will have more pace than Tarps on the mediums. Stig did drop down to P8 after that drive-through penalty. However, he would have only lost one position. I believe that was to Spicy Llama in the Red Bull. 3.2 seconds now, a gap at the front. Only icon clearly showing more pace, as I think I mentioned earlier. Pilot plane definitely had the pace over the field in the wet. So we see the Ferrari running a little bit wide. Out of 12. I'll compromise them slightly, but they're not in a direct battle. We see those lights flashing on the back of the car, just not using their energy. Actually, they could well be the rain lights just not turning off. Actually, they're actually off now, so that would just be him harvesting energy. We have at the front now 2 seconds, or just under 3 seconds, should I say. Unknown Icon closing down on our race leader. Just over 2 laps left here for this Brazilian Grand Prix. Here for JFR. So I said next week the race should be on their official channel. However, the channel wasn't quite ready to go for this week. So you see, Unknown trying to set the fastest lap using a bit of a quali line up to the line. Then runs through turn 3, just at the bottom of the center S. Gap seems to be sticking around 3 seconds at this point. So I don't see many other gaps closing up further down the field. Looks like our leader has caught up to the back of Chris as well. Looks like didn't manage to rejoin after that last disconnect. So that will be a shame for the Alfa Romeo driver. They've had internet issues all day. It took them a couple of attempts to get into qualifying. And I think throughout the race they have left and come back a couple times. We're running P9 at this point. I don't tend to make mistakes, so they should get to the end. Our leader is on the final lap. Good thing as well for them, as you can see that red fuel icon flashing in the bottom right corner. Should I say that Chris has joined back the session, so he wants to drive the final lap here. Might just be able to retake control of that car to complete the final 2 sectors of the race. So looks to be a battle coming down into turn 1. The Alfa Romeo of Luke and the Red Bull of Spicy Llama. Llama looks to have hit him a little bit coming into turn 1, but the wing does look fine on that Red Bull. As they run down this back straight towards turn 4, the Red Bull not quite close enough to make a move then. Looks like it got better, slightly better, or had more speed at the apex. Carried more as our race leader comes across the line to win 2.9 seconds from Unknown, and Donolu in the ghosted McLaren will take P3. Chris AI there just having a field day. You see Tarps crossing the line to take P4 ahead of Abood and P5. Spicy Llama did get past then, I do apologise for missing that. Spicy Llama in that Red Bull did get past Luca for P6. Looks like they're going to hold position to the line, doesn't look like there's going to be any changes. And they will cross the line. Llama ahead of Luca, sorry. And then wait for Stig to come up to the line in that Mercedes. And that is it for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Very dominating race from Pilot Plane in that Williams. Looked to be on pole, was beaten just at the depth of the session. And then during the race took first into the first corner and never looked back. Controlled the safety car restart as well very nicely. So we see our podium sitters there. Williams from AlphaTauri, from McLaren. Donolu seemed to have a very interesting race, being a ghost for the whole thing. We saw him using that to his advantage, and we also saw other drivers using that to their advantage as they tried to overtake the McLaren. As we get the classification on screen, we can see it confirmed. Also, this is provisional results. It can be reviewed after the race. But Pilot Plane wins the race from second on the grid, ahead of Unknown Icon, and Donolu completes the podium. Behind them we have Tet Arps in the Haas ahead of our championship leader Abood in P5 ahead of Spicy Llama, who made that last lap overtake on Luca. to get P6. Down in P8 then we have Stig, who started in P12, so that'll be a good race from them. Behind them we also have our last official finisher, as he did take part in the race in Chris. Gio's AI did do the whole race, you wouldn't expect them to crash, as AI don't make mistakes. Not finishing, we have Hyper Revs then, Luke Flano, Crossfire Strikes, Flaky Gaming, and Breakfast King. The Renault starting 13th, not quite getting it together in the race, and was just didn't get it together. They're looking to come back stronger next week, but that is it here for the race. Hope you can join us next week, same time on the Sunday afternoon. Hope to join us then. Thanks for watching and goodbye.